Hey, everybody. Hello. We're getting ready to get started with our happy marriage information. Okay, so I got these things working. These are working fine. Let's put those over here. All right, everybody. Hello. As you can see, I've got my studio set up a little different. This is the second part. Look at that here. The other part of our studio here. I've got my lovely husband joining me today because it's time for us to chit chat about this happy marriage lifestyle. Y'all, hubby is like, okay, I'm here, but I'm not ready to be here. I kind of think that's what's going on. All right, so I'm going to get this door really quick. Like that. And let's get started. All right. So I wanted to go back to having our happy marriage series and having conversations about these marriages. And I thought about this the other day concerning marriages. And I said, this would be a great topic to discuss. And part of that is childhood trauma. Childhood trauma and the effects it has on marriages. As you all know, there's a lot of people who get into marriage, get into relationships, and then they ended up having bad things happen in the relationship, bad things happen in the marriage. And oftentimes they don't understand what's going on until they seek the professional help that they need that will help them to be able to find out some of those things. Like a wife may say, why do you act like that? Or a husband may say, why do you act like that? Why do you do that? Why is this? Or either they're unhappy and they can't figure out why they can't be happy in a relationship. And a lot of it happens because of something that has happened in their childhood. There's been some trauma that took place. And a lot of times they don't even see it as trauma. They don't even see it as trauma until it is revealed to them that this has happened to them. Okay. Hey, Pastor Lorenzo, how you doing over there on Instagram? I'm trying to get in here on this Instagram page here. How you doing? All right. So let's get started, babe. And for those of you who are on our Instagram page, if you would like, you can come over to our YouTube page, the Juice Radio and Talk Show, where you can have a better view. I'm sorry that the phone only picks up so much. But let's get back to this topic because we've got another show we're going to do this evening. So let's get back into this. So, babe, the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you, marriages, issues, things that take place, situations that happen, unhappy times, confused times. A lot of these things oftentimes is reflective of something that happened when someone was younger. Let's just speak about the childhood because there can be different phases of this. It can be childhood trauma. It could be adulthood trauma. It could be, traumas in stages. But let's just speak on the childhood part. I wanted to dive into this with you. And also it could be lessons people can learn in the relationship why somebody does what they do. Okay. So for instance, let's talk a little bit about you, not personal, but let's talk a little bit about you. My husband loves shoes. Okay. People were like, is that trauma? No, it's not. But I'm going to get into that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just roll with us. He loves shoes, right? Mm-hmm. So he has such a passion for his shoes, and he has such, he's like, he has to take care of his shoes. His shoes have to be in the box sometimes, when he takes them off, he wants to wipe them off, sometimes. So they're clean. Is it not true?
You're correct.
I don't think you have to go to the mic like that. I think the mic works. Oh my goodness. But here, this is not the trauma part. And I want you to speak freely too. Pastor Lorenzo says, hey, family, teach the people. Yes, Pastor Lorenzo, we are. And y'all have a great time. Y'all have a great time over there vacationing, Pastor Lorenzo. So here's the thing. So I when we got married, I wasn't fully understanding why he was doing what he was doing with the shoes and why he had such a attachment to the shoes. Because to me, it was like, what's the big deal? They're a pair of shoes. You can get plenty more. What's the
Sometimes I just go to the store and saw a pair of shoes and I say, oh, I like it.
right?
I buy it and I want to use it for maybe 6 months or something. Still in the box. I haven't been worn yet.
Right.
It's crazy.
He holds them, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't understanding what was going on, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And so one day, go ahead. You were gonna say something?
Yeah. I guess the reason is when I was growing up in Jamaica,
Yeah.
we didn't have shoes. We didn't, I didn't have shoes to wear to school. Didn't have shoes. Everything was, ran around barefooted. So
Yeah.
So when I see shoes, I say, "Oh man, I love shoes."
Yeah.
And doesn't care. Yeah, I don't like expensive shoes. I don't go out and buy no $100 shoes or something.
Right.
I like shoes that's on sale. I like shoes on sale.
Well, you do that now. You do the shoes on sale. When we married, because when we first met, he was buying the expensive shoes. I mean, like the name brand, the big money shoes.
Oh yeah.
And when he met me, and I was like, why are you buying that expensive stuff? And so forth. But I learned one of the reasons why you did that, and we're going to get into the childhood trauma part. I'm building up to that, okay? So you guys just hang in there. One of the reasons why he loved shoes so much is, like he said, when they were growing up, they weren't able to afford shoes. They went around barefooted. And he told me the story, and we had a deep, deep conversation. This is earlier in our marriage. We'll be celebrating our 20-year marriage coming up May what? May the 6th. I know. See, I said it wrong last time, you guys. I said it wrong last time, and I was like, thank God my husband's not here to hear me. But it's May 6th. We'll be celebrating 20 years. So we said this early on. So we had this in-depth conversation. And you guys, it brought tears to my eyes, but I realized now I could have been one of those wives that heard the story. And, let's do a little bit into that so they can get an idea. He was saying they didn't have shoes. They had to go barefooted. When they had something, it was passed down one to the other and so forth. Tell him a little bit about that part.
No, this wasn't, when it was in Jamaica, we didn't, as I said, we didn't have shoes to wear. So, you go to school barefoot, church, everywhere you go
barefoot.
Yeah, but, we didn't go no places like out. We just school and church.
Okay.
We didn't go nowhere else. Or we go to the field to plant field or reap crops or something, but, we don't go out. So I guess we didn't need shoes to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then, as I grow older and we came to America, we used to have, had 2 older brothers, so I was younger. So everything that they couldn't fit, then it passed down to me. So it's like not hand me down, but passed down. Yeah, because my mom was a single parent, so she was the only one taking care of 8 kids. So I can understand now. Maybe I didn't understand it now,
and that's the thing. Yeah.
But I understand now. The sacrifice that she had to make to make sure everybody's clothes and everybody's taken care of.
Let's get out. Hey, LG. Hello, LG Curves. How you doing? I'm sorry my screen is small over there. How you doing, girl? So glad that you're here. We're also over here on YouTube if you want to come over to the YouTube channel. All right. On the Juice Radio and Talk Show. So you said when you were younger, you didn't have the shoes. And then as you got older, your brothers would get the new pair of shoes. And then when they could no longer wear them, they would be transferred or given to you to wear. So how often were you able to get a actual new pair of shoes?
Maybe once in a while.
Once in a while.
Yeah, but so it's understandable.
I know it's understandable. Yeah.
Back then, you appreciate what you can get. So
yeah. But I'm building up to why that's important, because as a wife, if I would not have sat down and had the conversation with my husband about this and why is the passion for the shoes and what is this? If I would have had that conversation with him, I could have been a wife that could have been like, why are you buying all these shoes? You don't need these shoes. We don't need to have all of this. This is too much. You buy them and you don't even use them. I could have had that conversation. Hello, there she is. Hello, LRGA Curves. How you doing, beautiful? And she says hello to Erin. And I'm sure Erin's going to say hello back to you. She's such a sweetheart. So here's the thing. So I could have been that wife that could have said, don't do that. That's too much, blah, blah, blah. And what I could have been doing was adding to the trauma. And it's not, I don't know if we can say that it was trauma per se, but I'm going to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. He was doing that, purchasing the shoes because he couldn't do it when he was younger, right? Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
And as you get older, some of the things that happen in your childhood life, you bring over to your adult life and your marriage life. But when these things happen, we as spouses have to be able to have a conversation about what is transpiring so that we can then be able to handle it in a situation where we don't cause more trauma. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get or
you
have questions? So I think what a lot of people go through, like there's some children that went through the trauma of not having food, the trauma of not being loved, the trauma of being around depressed parents, the trauma of being around unhappiness, the trauma of being around people fighting, the trauma of even the neighborhood, they grew up in. There's so much that children deal with when they're younger. And like my husband said, part of it wasn't his trauma, but his sadness was, when he was young, he didn't understand why his mother did not or could not give them the things that they may have wanted. Even myself, I was thinking sometime, Mama, why we can't have this or have that?
When I was young, like 2 years old, I think my mom came to America to have a better life,
right?
A better life, and so we could have stuff and come to America. So she left me with my grandparents, her mom. So but things was what it was,
Yeah.
So I don't too much dwell on it and stuff. I don't blame no one for anything. I just
no, and I think that's good that you don't blame anyone.
Yeah, just
but
things
also
that happen, and also I understand. She came and she did the best she could. She got all of us here to America to to a better place and
absolutely
and everything. So it's all good.
But here's the thing that I want people to understand: things that happen in your childhood could come into your marriage. And like I said, this that happened with him with the shoes is a small little thing. It's not, anything that we consider major because we handle it good. It could have been a situation where he could have had a spouse, or I could have simply said, no, you can't have those shoes. You can't buy them. We're not going to afford that. And that I think would have added to the trauma to you or added some sadness because you probably feel like, listen, I'm working. I should be able to buy my own shoes or, have my own stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think that would have probably been part of that feeling like, why can't I have, and, so forth. So I think a lot of people have a lot of the trauma that they do it, that they have to understand that it is something that happens. Let me put this over here so my husband can see it since that monitor just decided to go out. All right. So what we have to do is we have to learn how to understand that what we went through can transfer over to our personal lives. And we have to make sure that, or into the marriages, and we have to make sure that that doesn't continue to happen because it can negatively affect the marriage. Have you thought about like kids that go through trauma? What's your thoughts about kids that go through physical abuse and then they end up being the abuser? What's your thoughts on that?
It's terrible.
Right? Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
I don't know if they see it coming, they could ask for help and, and talk to someone about what they've been through before they, spiral out of control and do things that that's not their norm or something.
Yeah.
Or do something that's harmful to someone else.
They have to get the help. So I would say people who are dealing with a situation right now with a person, check that person's background, check that person's family history and see what happened when they were a childhood. when they were a child and what happened in their childhood, and then find a way to try and fix that part. And a lot of times we have to teach, thank you, Holy Spirit, we have to teach the adults that would happen in your childhood when you were a child. If you were abused sexually, if you were abused mentally, we have to teach them that it wasn't your fault. Because sometimes they feel as though it was their fault, and they spend their whole entire life trying to, I don't know if they say fix it, but they blame themselves. Thank you, Holy Spirit. They blame themselves for it. And so they were having a hard time finding peace and finding happiness through that whole process, because they're blaming themselves. There are children that blame themselves for their parents' divorce.
Right.
They blame themselves. And that's a very traumatic thing, going through a divorce. When you're a child and you're seeing your parents go through divorce, you don't fully understand it, especially if you're very young. You don't fully understand it. And then to have to be able to have to now, live your adulthood, and you're not understanding really what's going on, not being able to find that joy and love. It may be because you're afraid that it's going to be taken away from you because you saw it taken away from your parents. What's your thoughts on stuff like that?
I was saying, you're talking about in marriage, someone have something in their childhood that's affecting their marriage.
Yeah.
Is that something maybe you'd talk a little about before you get into when you're courting each other?
Courting each other.
Yeah,
that's key.
That you said, tell me a little about yourself.
But do they do that now? Do couples do that now? Do they ever sit down and say, tell me a little bit about yourself?
Maybe you should. Maybe more marriages will have to end up in divorce if you know what happened in the other person's life before you say I do.
Let me tell you, there's a lot of people that don't have those. I call those old-fashioned courting, courting questions.
Yeah. Nowadays, just 2 weeks and somebody said, "Will you marry me?" You don't know nothing about that person.
You know nothing about them. You know nothing about them.
You got to go back to the old ways, and
we got to
go back to find out a little about that person before you say
And listen to the family members. Be around the family members and listen.
Yeah, maybe you should take maybe a year or something before you decide. Say you're gonna tie the knot or something, and find out a little and see if that's something that if that's a person that you want to marry or something.
Yeah, I think people nowadays, they move so fast. They'll meet somebody at the club or out somewhere. Child, they even meet them in the church, and the same night they in bed with them, and then the next week they moving in, and
next week they're married.
They married. And I think the process, they move along too fast.
Yeah,
they move way too fast. And they're not learning the person. They're not looking for the sign. That's right, Holy Spirit. They're not even looking for the signs to see, okay, is this a good person? Let me look and see. Let me.
Yeah, and
right.
You learn a lot hanging around their family and see what kind of person they are, their character and everything. Their mom, their dad, the brothers and sisters.
Right. Talk to the parents and see, how was he when he was a kid? Something. So LRGA Curve says this. She said, I found that in love, you need to allow room for your partner's trauma because it's not going anywhere. What do you think about that? You have to find allow room, because I think this is my thought on it. Then you can answer. My thought on what she said, you have to allow room for it is just like I said with your shoe thing. If I would have just attacked and said, no, I could have caused more damage. So I had to allow myself to learn, why is he doing this?
Right. Yeah.
And then I had to understand, okay, will it be such a problem if he buys these shoes? Okay. He's not going out, every night. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. It fits in the budget. He's not buying the expensive ones. I did stop that. I thought we agreed not to do that because we want to be, keep our financial, advisor stuff. But I did allow, like she said, I allowed room for that because I understood why. My husband said this one time to me, and let me tell you, it hurt it made me so sad. He said that he likes the chicken breast. He loves the chicken breast.
I'm tired of chicken breast now.
I know. He said he don't want no more chicken right now, but he
I like
loved
chicken.
he loved the chicken breast. And I asked him one day, because
Mm.
I'm asking, I said, why do you love the chicken breast? And he said,
Yeah, when I was a kid, we didn't get the chicken breast. We get
isn't that something?
Yeah, we didn't get the chicken breast. Yeah,
They didn't get the chicken breast.
we get chicken back, chicken feet.
Look at that.
Oh goodness!
And I had to learn that.
And then you know, when it was like teenagers and stuff, and you know, my mom used to, when she'd go to work, and when she's coming home, she'll buy maybe a 10-piece of Popeyes, because Popeye was right down the street from where we live,
Yeah.
and she'd buy it, but the breasts, it would cut up in like 3 pieces or something. No one is going to get a whole breast.
Wow.
You have to cut everything. Got to be cut in pieces. So
Wow. Now these are light things, but they are still have an effect. They still have an effect on the person.
yes, because you know.
So it wasn't that the chicken breast tasted better. It was
Yeah.
simply because you couldn't have it when you were young.
Yeah, it was
So
the
you're
big-
like, I'm an adult now. I'm
it was
eating
the-
this whole chicken breast.
It was the biggest piece in the box. The chicken breast was the biggest piece.
Oh
Yeah.
my
You
God.
know, when you're a kid, you want the biggest. You stick your hand in something. You want to take the biggest piece out of the
That's
box.
funny.
Yeah, so,
That's-
yeah.
Oh.
But now I've eaten so many chicken breasts now that it's not a big.
But it
deal.
made me understand, because I was like, okay, why is he always like he wants the chicken breast? What
Mhm.
is it with this chicken breast? And to me, I was like, it doesn't taste like that. So again, like LRGA Curve said, you know, I had to make room for that. I had to learn that. I had to learn what was going on with that. And to you, it may not be traumatic, but it's how you handle the situation. I didn't turn it into an arguing state.
Mhm.
I turned it into a learning process. I turned it into a way that I could learn so that I could better understand, you know? And we're going to touch bases on some more things. Real quick, Tammy has a comment. Hey, Tammy. How you doing, girl? She says, hi, would love to participate, but still not 100%. We're praying you get better, girl. We know you will. We know you will. She says, but that is why premarital counseling is so important. Let's talk about that.
That's right.
Premarital counseling. I don't even think these youngsters nowadays even know what premarital counseling is.
Yeah, they're not into that stuff.
They're not into it.
Say, oh, that's what your mom and dad used to do.
Right.
We don't do that stuff no more.
They don't even ask for the father's hand. They don't even, I mean, the father's permission for the,
Right,
the woman's hand in
Yeah,
marriage.
just go out and get married now. We're married now.
But you know what?
What?
It's not even that. It's not even the youngsters. There are adults that are still getting married to people without doing what Tammy says here, doing the premarital counseling.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing it. They feel as though I know them well enough. I don't have to do that. I don't have time for that. We're going to be just fine.
Maybe they think if they go to marital counseling and you find out some stuff, maybe the marriage, it won't be a marriage.
Yeah, the fear of it.
marriage will take place.
The fear. Oh, I'm afraid to go because I might learn something I don't want to learn.
Yeah.
You want to learn it, and not so that you could run away from it, but so that you could learn how to deal with it. If you want to stay with that person,
Yeah, but
if you want to stay with that
you
person,
might find out something you don't want to find out. Maybe I have to say, cut it short.
but wouldn't it be better to find out about it before you get that marriage license? Before you get married, before you take those vows?
Yeah, then you could be in dire straits too. Because if you go to the marriage counselor and then they find out, I don't want to see you no more, then that's another story.
Yeah. But it is, like Tammy said, it is important for people, thank you, Holy Spirit, for people who want to get married and remain married. It is very important for you to go to premarital counseling.
Yeah.
And with professionals, people,
Right.
professionals.
And it's not going to be no 2 weeks or something.
It may not be.
It's got to be a little longer than that because it's going to take a little while to get some stuff out. So,
Yes.
I don't know what the recommended time frame is. 6 months? I don't know.
I don't know, how long it
3
is.
months? I don't know.
But when you go seek a professional help, they'll let you know. And you know what? You're right, Holy Spirit. Here's what may happen. They may get into a process and the counselor may say, well, this is going to be a 2-month process. And then as they start getting into it and they start getting deeper and some things are being revealed, that counselor may say, we're going to need more time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're going to need more time because this has come up and we have to deal with this. So it may take more time than that. But like Tammy said, seek the premarital counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Professionals, you guys, professionals. Okay, professional counselors. All right. So LRGA Curve says, you got to learn each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to stop right here. The first part, you got to learn each other. And that part is you have to learn each other before you marry each other.
Right.
Because you are still going to be learning each other after you're married to each other. It is still a learning process.
Oh, yeah.
But you want to learn as much as you can before you take the vows. So that once you take the vows, then you'll be able to have that strength and that bond to be able to deal with whatever else comes up, including some things that may have been from childhood trauma.
Right.
You want to make sure that you get as much information on the person to be able to know how to handle a situation that might come up. Because there's a lot of things that are hidden. Like we said, sometimes people don't realize something happens until something triggers it.
Right.
And that thing could have been hidden for years and years and years. And then during the marriage or during the dating, something could have triggered it and it comes up. And now you have to be able to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and her second part, she says, my husband and I used the year before we got married to really learn each other. It worked well. That's exactly what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Give it 1 year. Although you and I didn't give it a year. We didn't give it a year.
We didn't?
No, we didn't. I think we were under a year. We were under a year. But we ask a lot of questions with each other and observe and learn and talk. We did when we were dating, my husband and I, we didn't go out as much when we were dating, like out. We sat and had a lot of conversations. And we had long conversations on the phone. I mean, like 3 a.m, still having conversations from like 6 p.m. We had long conversations. Remember? I think there was a few times you ended up snoring on me. But do you agree with that? Do you remember those? We had long conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Long conversations. And a lot of it was basically, tell me about you.
Yeah.
Tell me about you. And she also says in her comment, she says, we thought we knew each other before that, but there was so much more. And in marriages, you're going to learn that. There's going to be so much more.
That's right.
That people are going to learn in these marriages. And a lot of it could be hidden. A lot of it could be covered up. Some people, and it's sad to say, some people intentionally cover up the trauma that they had because they're afraid of it being exposed.
Right.
And it's sad because you're not showing your trueness and you're not really giving the person, your spouse, you're not giving them the real, what do you call it? It's not benefit, but you're not giving them the option to be able to help you through that or decide if they want to stay in a relationship.
Yeah, and some people, maybe don't want to hurt the person that caused them the trauma anyway. Don't want to expose them or anything like that. They just want to keep it.
Yeah.
Keep it hidden.
They want to keep it hidden, but it's still there.
Yeah. And I guess they'll let it come out when they wanted to come out, not, let somebody else get it out of them or something.
Sometimes, yeah. A lot of people do end up wanting to protect the very person that caused the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
They do. And it's sad that they do that because then they really are not getting the full healing. I think they're not getting the full healing that they themselves need, the victim. They're not getting the full healing. So LRGA Kerr, she said hello to Tammy. She also says, we are still finding things out about each other because we are evolving together. And that's the thing. You have to be able to want to learn your spouse and want to learn that deep history. And not just say, well, that happened in your childhood. We're not bringing that over here. It's part of that person. It's part of their makeup. It's part of them. It's part of me. I don't know if I had any childhood. Well, I did. My childhood trauma was I dealt with seeing my father physically abuse my mother. And I was a youngster when I saw that happen. And even remembering one of the episodes where my father picked up an iron and hit my mom in the head. She was ironing clothes and he was talking to her and he was drunk. And my mom was trying to answer, but then she stopped answering. And I was sitting on the floor watching. And he picked up the iron that she was ironing with and he hit her in the head with it. She fell to the floor. Blood started coming down her face. Then he yelled and screamed at her, and he said these words I'll never forget. He said that you made me do that. And she sat there for a while, and I was just in shock. I was so afraid, you guys, of what happened. I literally wet my pants sitting on the floor, and I was too afraid to move. And I ended up staying there, on the floor. And then my mom, she waited a little while. It felt like forever. She finally got up off the floor. She didn't say anything. She just slowly picked me up, and she was a little dazed. She picked me up. She went in a room. She held my hand. She got my brother, and we walked out the front door. And before we walked out the front door, because they didn't have cell phones there, she called somebody on the phone. I didn't know who she called when we walked outside. As we were walking outside, walking down the street, my aunt came around the corner speeding in her car. And so apparently my mom had called my aunt, and my aunt picked us up, and we all got in the car, and my aunt took us to her house, and we stayed there for a while. And after that, my mom, she left. She said she couldn't take it anymore. And that, I think, is part of that episode that happened with me. Seeing that caused me to never want to have a man put his hands on me. And it also did this, you guys. It caused me to be very cautious of my surroundings, because what he did was he came from the back and hit her. And so if you're around me, you notice that I very seldom will allow anybody to be at my back. I don't know, you notice that, right? Even when we show properties, I always have to be facing the individuals. I never, don't come to my back. Don't, because I always have to have a visual of you. When we go to events and stuff like that, I always want to sit in the back.
Go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
You don't like to turn your back to the door.
I don't like to turn my back to the door. I don't like, it's with me. I'm like, no, I don't, I need to see everybody. Even when we're in large spaces, I will always, I'm always looking around, and that's what I think it came from. Part of that, because like I said, he came from behind and hit her. So that's, and plus, I cannot stand to see people argue, not communicate, not work it out through communication, because I felt as though if my mom would have just answered, he wouldn't have done that to her. So that's why I like to have the communication. I like to have the communication to be able to, let's talk it out. Let's talk calmly. Let's not go silent, because things happen when you go silent. That's part of that. So, that I'm going to come back to LRGA Curves comment. Tammy says, Regina, it's called a trauma response. Okay. Trauma response. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you. Thank you so much. LRGA Curve said this. She says, we got premarital counseling too. We made a rainbow list of love with the things that would get us through the tough times of loving one another person through their own stuff. It's hard, but worth it. I like that. That's nice, huh? That's very nice. That's a good thing to do. She also said, this was great. I hope you do another installment. Black love is Black excellence. Back to work. Thank you so much, LRGA Curves, for being here. Thank you so much. Aaron says, I'm sorry you went through that, the juice. Thank you so much. You know what? And I'm sorry I went through it also. And but at the same part of that is we went through it and we made it through. We survived. But here's the thing that I want people to try and learn, because what happened was my father had also gone through some things in his life that created him to have that effect on other people. And I learned that later on in my adulthood, when I had conversations, deep conversations with my father, I learned what was going on and the things that had triggered him to behave that way.
Mhm.
He had also gone through some things, some traumatic things. Was it right what he did? No. But did it give me an understanding of, now I can see where the anger
Mhm.
was coming from? I could see it, where it was coming from. So now what I want to do as an individual is to try and help other people to be able to deal with that in a way that it does not harm somebody else.
Right.
Let's deal with that. Let's talk about it. Like my husband said before, people, they don't want to, they don't want to tell on their abuser. They don't want to tell on the person that caused a trauma to them. They don't want to tell on them. But it's not telling on them. It's having a communication to try and get things fixed and to try and stop it from happening to the next person.
Yeah, because the earlier you get it out, I think maybe the better off it would be.
Yeah.
Than you wait till 25 years, 30 years down the line, and then you come to, oh, uncle, auntie, baba, somebody did this to me and stuff.
Right.
And then,
yeah.
I don't remember doing that to you.
Yeah. Some people take some of the stuff to the grave with them.
Oh my God.
They take it to the grave with them.
Horrible.
They never want to discuss. They don't want to open up about it. But childhood trauma and things that people have gone through in their childhood can become a problem in their current marriage.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not discussed. When you see something's triggering, if you're with your spouse and they're loving and they're kind and they're there's a couple I know, I'm not going to say their name for privacy, but the gentleman was real nice and sweet to her when they were dating. So nice and sweet. I mean, everybody loved him. So kind and considerate. I mean, just, everybody's like, he's so perfect. And then they got married. And then this person started wanting, his wife not to be around the family. And then he started saying, well, I didn't want them to have conversations on the phone. And, and wanted to control their phone and wanted to control her phone and wanted to, move her away to, other states and tried his best to distance her from, her family members. And it tore apart the family because he wanted to separate. And we all couldn't understand why. What is going on? Where did the change happen? And then, I started having conversations with the wife and with his family and come to learn and find out that he had been dealing with some things that had happened in his childhood that he had never dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
He had never dealt with the issues.
Right.
And his thing was control. And not only that, it was manipulation. He had mastered the art of manipulation and power of taking control of the wife. You might know who I'm talking about. We're not saying that. But here's the thing. I think the wife knew that some of this was in him because the relatives tried to have the conversation with her, but the wife chose not to listen. The wife chose not to listen to the signs, listen to the conversations. You know what the wife said? Oh, he doesn't do that with me. And she told me, she says, Regina, she says, I was wrong because I said he didn't do it to me. And I should have said that because he hadn't done it to me yet. But when he started doing it to me, now I realize that the family was right. So a lot of times we see these little things that come up in relationships while you're dating. And even when you first get married, or people tell you about them, but you think it will never happen to you, even though it happened to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That same person did this to all these other people, but you feel as though what they're doing to them, they will never do to you.
Right.
But they just might do the same thing to you. So look for the signs and deal with them and have those conversations about them. And see, get some professional counseling help about it, because it can take a negative effect on the marriage. And you as the husband or you as the wife could end up being the one that's now taking the brunt of the backlash or whatever from that person because of everything they went through.
Right.
Now you're the one that's there to take the brunt of all of that. So you got to be able to look for the help from other people. Again, if you're dating somebody, you still have a chance not to venture into that relationship too deep. You still have the chance to do the counseling like we spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
Learn them. Right? What's your thought?
I say you might not get everything out of them.
You might not get everything.
But you'll get something.
Right.
Then you can, jump off that, maybe find out some more stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, learn. Take some time to learn them. Like Miss Curve said in the comments, and my husband said the same thing. If you're going to date somebody for a year. Really take your time to learn them. If you see some signs and some things that are coming up that you're not comfortable with, you need to have those discussions. You also need to be able to communicate with their family members. Listen to all the things, the negative and the positives about the individual. Watch how they act and behave around their family members. If they're yelling and screaming at their mom and daddy and yelling and screaming at their brother and sister and yelling and screaming at their cousin, they got a yelling and screaming problem.
Yeah.
Don't think that they ain't gonna yell and scream at you.
Right.
They got a yelling and screaming problem. If they acting, if they're lying to their family members, they gonna lie to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't be those too caught up into
love.
Yeah, or lust.
Ooh.
I think it's love, and then you bypass some of those signs, and then later on it come back to haunt you.
Right. Yeah, especially people that have anger issues.
Mm-hmm.
If they have anger issues, and I'm sure if you take that time to learn them. Now, some people are real good at hiding it, but if you see it, then you're going to have that communication about it, and see how their responses are, see how their work processing are, but really my main thing is looking at that family background, having those conversations with the families. My husband, his mom, may she rest in heaven, and her two beautiful sisters, all three resting in heaven. When my husband and I first met, my husband, he wasn't even my husband then, but okay, my husband now. He called me one day and he said, we were supposed to go on a date. I think it was our second date, was it? First date?
First, well, no, yeah.
And we were supposed to go on a date. And he said, before we go on a date, I got to stop by my mom's house. Tell me what you say.
Yeah, you got to stop by my mom's house. Her sisters, and everybody's there, say hi and everything.
I was like,
yeah, because my aunt came down from Canada, and then my other aunt was there, and so she came in.
But first, wait,
everybody was there.
He's skipping. He comes to pick me up. He didn't even tell me. He didn't even call me and say, hey, before we go, this is what we're going to do. He waited till he got to the house to pick me up. And then he says, we got to stop at my mom's house. And I'm like, okay, I thought he had to pick something up, you guys. So go ahead. And you tell me everybody was there?
Mm-hmm. Everybody was there waiting.
They were all there waiting.
For the interrogation. So, this person is, they want to date a son, baby. He said, Mommy ain't playing. Auntie ain't playing. They want to know who's
oh, my goodness.
Their baby chappy, boy.
They did. They were all lined up. It was 3 chairs in the living room. There was a sofa there, and then there were 3 chairs. And he asked me when I came in, he says, come on inside. And I came inside, and he said, all right, have a seat right here on the sofa. And then there are 3 chairs. In walked his aunt, his 2 aunts on the end, and his mom in the middle. And they sat there. And when he says interrogated me, they asked me every question in the book.
Yeah, that's what the island people do.
They asked me everything. Who's your mama? What your parents do? What your daddy do? How long your parents been married? What y'all been, what's your faith? What's your business career? What do you have children? When they asked me if I had children, and I told them I had 2 children, but jeez,
2 kids, 2 children, Choppy, you get how many 2 children? Well, Zabel was like,
I think it was like 4,
4 and
9, because Brianna's 5 years older than him.
yeah. 2 kids.
His mom and his aunt and the 2 of them, their eyes lit up like, oh no, we're not doing
2
this.
baby kids.
Oh my goodness, it was so funny.
Choppy, can you handle 2 kids?
And that's what they said too. That's what they said. They asked him, can you handle 2 kids?
Mm-hmm.
She's got 2 kids. They said, hey, this is what she comes with.
Mm-hmm.
Not only her, but there's 2 kids along with it,
Yeah, no experience with children.
Right.
Just babysitting here and there, but nothing.
But they asked me
Okay.
every question they could from my family background, how many brothers and sisters I have, how were they, and everything. And my husband wasn't even sitting next to me, you guys. He was on the floor hiding behind the sisters and his aunt. Because guess what? He couldn't say anything. He could not say anything. He was in his 30s at the time, you guys.
35?
Yeah. But he could not say anything. He had to just let them ask every question they wanted to ask. And he could not interject.
You didn't get a, what do they call it now? Where you didn't give my parents no bridal, what's it called?
What bridal? What are you talking
That
about?
stuff that we be watching the shows now. They have to give up some goats or some animals or something to marry their.
A dowry? 2 goats and a chicken? A cow?
2 pigs.
I didn't have to pay a dowry. I did not. Jamaica does not take dowry. Listen, we wouldn't have got together because I didn't have cow money at the time.
You have to borrow it from your mom and dad. Give us some embroidered T-shirts and stuff.
Oh my gosh, no way. Embroidered t-shirts, no way. I did not have dowry money. No, but they asked us every question in the book. They asked me everything, even to the point that they asked me, do you love him?
Mm-hmm.
And this was only our first date, you guys. But we had been talking on the phone. They asked me, do you love him? And I was like, I said, yeah.
He wasn't like, yeah. You say, I love him.
Stop lying. Are you for real?
Yeah, don't ask you, do you love him or something? I think it was Auntie.
Oh my goodness, really? I was the one that said that, really?
Uh-huh.
Well, they asked you too. That was the one question that was the second question, because they asked you, can you handle 2 kids? Mm-hmm. And then they also asked you, do you love her? Mm-hmm. And he peeked his head out from behind the chair and said, yes, I love.
I said, I do.
He did, but they went deep. They asked us questions and they didn't play. And here's another thing that they did, and as well as my family wanted to know about him because I had been through already 2 marriages and 2 divorces. So my family wanted to make sure that what I was about to do was going to be something that was going to last. Mm-hmm. They wanted to try and help me out, and so they asked me questions as well. I didn't get drilled like his parents, his mom and sisters did. But they asked questions, and I'm glad that they did. I'm glad that the families got involved. And here's the thing. There are some people who have relationships. They don't want the family involved.
Yeah. I hear some stories like, the kids got married and the parents didn't know that they even married.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible.
Yeah. They don't even know that they got married.
I didn't know they were married.
Yeah. They don't want to tell. Aaron says good families ask good questions. Good for them. Yes. They ask all the questions, Aaron, all the questions. But there are some people who get married and they don't want their families to ask them anything. They don't want the family to ask, who is this young man?
Yeah.
They don't want the family to ask, where's his family? How's his upbringing?
Yeah.
They don't want you to know where he lives, what car he drives, where he works. They don't want you to know his bank account. His family ask us all that. You have your own money. You how many bank accounts you have? How's your credit? They listen. They were going in. It was like I was applying for a CEO position, and they wanted to know everything. And guess what? I had to answer properly and truthfully. Because I'm gonna tell you, they were. I think they would probably check it up on me.
Nowadays, you bring somebody in and the parents ask a young man some question, he will walk out on them.
Yes,
that's
the nerve.
Yeah, I don't need to answer this, man.
Man, so that, man.
Yeah, I'm out of here, man. I ain't with that. Blah blah blah.
Man, you better recognize, better check me. Just dumb.
Man, this new generation is something else.
Listen, and then the girl or the guy, whoever is the one, they wonder why this relationship not going the way I wanted it to go. Why is it falling apart? What happened? What happened? There's some trauma. Why doesn't that young man want to have the respect to say, this is who I am? Is he hiding something? Is he embarrassed because of how his childhood has been? Is he embarrassed because he's not financially where he wants to be? Is he embarrassed because his family isn't financially where they want to be? Is he trying to be somebody financially that he's not? Is he trying to be somebody that he's not? Where is that trauma coming from? Because to me, that's a form of trauma. That you feel as though you can't have a communication with me about this. Let's talk about it. One other part I want to say before we bring this to a close. The love part. The love part. I am a hugger. You want to hug up?
You want to hug up?
Hug up? I am a hugger. I'm a touchy-feely type of person. I was so mad when, everything was shut down and people couldn't hug and touch each other. But I'm a hugger. When I met my husband, he was not so much the touchy-feely person. I would have to tell him, can I hold your hand? Or I would always rub him. He goes, yeah. And I'm like, what's the matter with this dude? I would touch him and he goes, and you guys, it's funny, but he still does it. He still does it sometimes. Do you not?
Yeah, sometimes.
And I was like, what is up with this? What's the deal with this? I went to his mom's house when we had first started dating after our interview. No, actually, the day of the interview, when we finished, I went, I gave them all hugs. Mm-hmm. And when I started coming back, I would always give his mom a hug. And his mom would give me what I call the stiff arm hug. She would just leave her hands down like this. And I would be there. I would be, how you doing? And give her a hug. And she just stiff arm me. And I was like, what's up with your mom?
That's not the way we didn't grow up like that touchy-feely stuff.
Right.
It's, you might say it once in a while, but you don't show it. You say it, but don't show it. Yeah,
they said it, but and I couldn't understand that
say
part.
It, but don't show. I don't know how you say it. It's not. What you say? You say. It,
you say you love you,
and that's and accept that, and that's it.
Yeah, to me that was weird.
Yeah, because that time my mom would be. She said, people gonna think you my husband.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord. But the funny part about it was I'm also somebody who doesn't give up. And so I kept going over there all the time. And every time I see, I would give her that hug. I'd give her that hug. And so one day I said, okay. I said, let me see what's up with this. So I went in the house and I didn't hug her. I just said, hi, Mom, how you doing? And she looked at me. And so I would go in and I sat down with the family and, because it was some little event or something going on at the house, like a barbecue or something gathering. And I didn't hug her. And I would walk back and forth in the kitchen, just talking to the family and everything. And she kept looking at me. So then she finally called me over. She says, Regina, come here. And I says, yes, Mommy, what's going on? She says, you're okay? And I was like, yes. She said, you're sure? And I'm like, yes. I said, why? She said, why you don't hug me? And I said, I wasn't sure if you wanted a hug because you never hugged me back. And she said, what? She said, you better give me my hug. So I said, are you going to hug me back? And I just laughed and teased her. She says, of course. And that's when I hug her. And then she wrapped her arms around me. And I said, squeeze tight, squeeze tight. And she started laughing so hard. And ever since then, whenever I would go, she would have her arms reached out for me to hug her. Right? I mean, she would see me walking in the door and she would reach her, come. She would be waiting on her hug. And I love that. But when we first met, for whatever reason in her past, she chose not to hug. But things in your past, even though it made you be traumatic and stop you from things in your present, it won't always finish. Things in your past that happened that were traumatic can be cured. Just like whatever happened with mommy, where she may have said, people are gonna think you're my husband. Well, they're not gonna think I'm her wife. So they were still in effect. What's going on while you weren't being affectionate back?
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't in the.
It wasn't in her. It wasn't in her
Yeah,
until it was pulled out of her.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be pulled out. And so as people go through things in their life, things that happened in their past that is prohibiting them from being this or being that or doing this or doing that, sometimes we just have to pull it out of them. Pull it out and deal with that. And healing will take place. Healing will take place. My mother-in-law, every time I would go, hug, right? Even to the point where when we started, I was going to the house and I tell you, why you don't hug your mother? And he was like, eh. And so I started telling you, do what?
You want to hug up?
To your mother, right? I would tell him all the time, go hug your mother. And he's like, ah. And I would push him, go hug your mother. Go hug your mother. And he started hugging her. And then she started looking forward to his hugs. It was just that effect that we had to break her, We had to break her. And then she got to the point where she loved it. She loved it. So again, you guys, this has been great. I'm sorry we're already out of time right now. We're going to be trying to do as much of our Happy Marriage Lifestyle program again as we can. I don't have a set date of when we'll be coming on. We'll try and keep maybe the Monday nights going here on the channel at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have some more great topics. Next week, if we're available, what we're going to do is I'm going to bring back the cards, the couples cards, and we may do some more information, asking questions on that, because those are really good. They're really good. And, I think that's going to be great. But I hope you learned something today by watching this program. I hope you really have learned something and able to share some information with others as well on here. If you're somebody that's suffering from a traumatic situation that happened in your past, or if you know somebody that is, I would ask that you would seek out some professional counseling, professional help with that situation, because we want everybody to be healed. You don't have to go through the process alone. You don't have to be embarrassed about the process either. All you have to do is just look for help, ask for help, and I'm sure that you will find the right help for you. If you're in a marriage, in a relationship right now, and there's some things that you have been wanting to share with your spouse and you've been too afraid to do that, I would say take some time out to pray right now, and then take some time out to have that conversation with your spouse. If you feel like you need someone else to be there when you present this information to your spouse, then ask someone to join you who's going to also respect the conversation that you're about to have and not share the information with other people, okay? Because you still need to go through that healing process. So you may need to seek out some real professional counseling, some real professional help in that area. But mostly what we want to do on our platform here, the Juice Radio and Talk Show, on our Happy Marriage Lifestyle series, is we want you all to have happy, healthy, loving marriages. And that's the reason why we bring this on this platform. Okay. I'm praying that you all will have a wonderful, happy marriage. I want to thank everybody who was in the comments today. Thank you so much for being in the chats. Thank you for being over there on Instagram as well. Share this channel. If you have not already done so, please go over to the Juice Radio and Talk Show on YouTube. Go on over there to our YouTube channel. You see the red mug up here and the microphone. Just type in the Juice Radio and Talk Show. Excuse me. and subscribe to that channel. We also have a podcast channel, the Juice Radio and Talk Show Podcast. We also are streaming on all these other platforms as well. If you want more information about what we're doing here, you can send us an email or inbox us on any one of these social media sites. Our email is the Juice Radio and Talk Show at gmail.com. I also want to thank our sponsor for this program here, our main sponsor, which is Truth and Triumph Ministries. Thank you so much for supporting the platform and all the work that you do to help us maintain this platform. Truth and Triumph Ministries is a ministry that cares about telling people the truth about Jesus Christ and sharing that information with you so that you'll be able to triumph in life. Thank you, Truth and Triumph Ministries, for all the work that you do. We also want to give a great big shout out and thank you to Custom Apparel Shop. Custom Apparel Shop is one of our other sponsors as well. They do great embroidery work, whether it's one piece or more. You can always contact Israel Mason at his direct line of 786-657-7501. Thank you so much, Custom Apparel Shop, for all that you do. Listen, we're going to get out of here for now, but we'll be back with some more information and some more great topics on this happy marriage lifestyle. Listen, we're going to get into some of the deep stuff too. We'll get into some of that deep stuff. Some of the questions that maybe other couples don't want to answer and have the topics they don't want to really talk about, but y'all have been dealing with some of that stuff. We don't talk about that because that's where you learn. You know, that's where you learn. What's your thought? Do you have some closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Have a happy evening.
That's right. Have a
wonderful evening.
There you go. Have a happy and a wonderful evening and enjoy your marriage and enjoy yourself. But enjoy your spouses, right?
Enjoy yourselves together.
Enjoy yourself.
Join yourself together.
Join yourself. I thought they were joined when they got married.
Enjoy yourself together.
Enjoy yourself together.
Hello, somebody.
And goodbye. All right, you guys, we're out of here.
All right.
Thank y'all so much for being here, and we'll be back with another great episode
now.
Here on the Juice Radio Talk Show Happy Marriage Lifestyle Series. Y'all have a great day. Bye.
Adios.